Welcome to TARTLEcast with your hosts Alexander McKegg and Jason Rigby, where humanity steps into the future and source data defines the path.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of TARTLEcast. You're here with your host Alexander McKegg.
And Jason Rigby.
Thank you. So today we want to dig into market value. And Jason, I want to open up to you. Are there any questions you kind of want to bring into this?
Yeah, one of the things that I think a lot of people talk about is as far as like exchange. I know you had talked about data being like a stock market.
Yes.
And then there being a transaction there. What does that look like?
No, that's important. And so if we look at human history, things have become more valuable for us when we assign a value to it, right? We say that there's some sort of numerical relationship between the things we create and then how we can trade that and have some sort of measurement. So when we look at the market value of something, we're saying, okay, I am willing to say that there is a value to something. I'm willing to protect it more because I know that it has a worth to it amongst our society. So now when we talk about TARTLE, it's important to look at assigning a market value to not only our total identity, all of us, and what we create on the internet, right? What our thoughts do, our emotions, our photographs, our social profiles. But beyond that is taking that information and all the little infinitesimal pieces, the tiny pieces of our identity, chalking them off into all these separate categories and saying, okay, this one is worth this much to the market and this one is worth this much. And so if we extrapolate that out, we now have something that we can protect more from the whole of who we are to the smallest pieces. And each part of that can be traded on the TARTLE exchange.
And so when you're talking about exchange in particular, what is like value? How does that work compared to, let's say, a consumer and maybe a company that is wanting to purchase that data?
Okay, so how does that value then translate back to me as the individual? Right. No, that's important. So if we look at the value stream of what's been currently happening is that all of our data was aggregated on the internet, right? And all these profiles were created by these other companies. And you never took the time to create this profile of you to look at this data that you create, this aggregation, and then say, okay, I'm now willing to share this information, but I'm willing to do it for a sort of value, right? Mm-hmm. And that value then gets proposed to the market. So as you create your information, I'm willing to trade it. I'm willing to accept a bid for my info so that I can receive that value. And that the better I take care of it, the more I look at myself and refresh this information and add to it, the greater my identity and the increase in my value. And as a company comes in and they want to purchase it, right, you're incentivized to increase the market value of you. And to them, that means they're getting better, cleaner, richer, truer data, something that is much more beneficial to us solving our larger problems.
So if I'm looking at it in reverse, not looking at the consumer, and I'm looking at the company itself,
yes,
what is the benefit for me to come and purchase data from TARTLE?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it is easier in a fact to say, I'm going to go directly to the person. If I wanted to ask you and be like, can I just give you $1 rather than give it to 2 or 3 individuals in between us?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
All right, it's funny. All right, let's just deal with that, okay? I'm not dealing with no middleman, no pain.
No, but when I think about it, because when we look at it both from the consumer side of things and the corporation, we're always looking at our data. Like, for instance, right now, we're on Instagram Live right here.
That's correct.
So I want to look at that. So we're producing data right now. It's going to Instagram, which Facebook owns them.
Yep.
We'll use them for an example. And then that data gets put into their servers, and then from there, what happens? Where is it there? It's their, they own the data, right?
Yeah, at that point, they own that information, right, to them because you're using their service or platform.
Right.
Now, that means they can take that information, they can repackage it and sell it and say, Jason, this is who he is. Mm-hmm. And people would be willing to buy that information if they want to market you a goods or service. Right. Or they're in the business of doing research, right? Now, the beauty of TARTLE, though, say, let's take some sort of circumstance here, say medical data.
Right.
If we're looking at the market value of medical data, there's only so much they can buy at a premium from these services on information about you and your health.
Because of the, like client privilege or doctor, what do they call that?
HIPAA.
Yeah,
right?
HIPAA. Right.
So if you deal with issues of HIPAA, but when you look at things like TARTLE, they're like, okay, I am now able to assign a value to a piece of information on, say, my surgical past,
Right.
my body statistics, blood pressure readings, heart rate over any period of time. And then I can sell that for an assigned market value to the market, and they can purchase it directly from me.
So you're talking like something like I have a Fitbit on right now.
Right.
So they're collecting data. And that data is going to them. And then they can turn around, like my sleep patterns, they can look at it and say, men your age usually have this much REM sleep at night. So that data in and of itself, but they could come to me and ask me a specific question.
Be like,
through TARTLE.
Correct.
And say, okay, we know that you had 15% REM sleep last night, but how did you feel?
That's correct.
And then I could answer that question.
So we can step beyond that, right? We can step beyond, we're just collecting large populace of data. No, we can ask things that are highly specific. We can get to the emotion, the real crux of what people are thinking, and they're willing to offer up a value to you for that extended, more insightful information that they otherwise didn't have access to.
And so as a consumer, like I'm wearing this Fitbit, we're on Instagram Live now. When I look at that, I'm saying I am not receiving, and maybe more than just monetary, but I am not receiving any type of value for this.
That's correct.
I may be getting reach or impressions.
You're getting a service, right?
Right.
But what's important is I don't want people to forget that when I speak of something or when I create something with my hands or my mind, that has a value to it.
Right, exactly.
Even my opinion has value. It has value to me. Right. So the beauty of it is, okay, now I can sell what I feel is important to me for some sort of value that the market may also find valuable. Right? Instead
of having the ability for them to take that data. Like, I don't know what Fitbit does with this.
You're not really sure.
Right. I know it's measuring my heartbeat, and it knows my sleep, and it knows when I exercise and when I don't.
But beyond that, what else are they?
But I don't know what it's giving to an insurance company.
That's correct. Now, with TARTLE, you know exactly what's being given up.
Right.
You give up that information for that value back, and you choose when to do so. They can give it up whenever they like.
So question. So if I'm a consumer, we'll start on the consumer side. If I'm a consumer and I want to sell my data.
Yes.
What is the best way for me to do that through your platform?
So the best way to do it through a platform is we have these things called data packets. Okay. And these data packets will sit underneath your bids tab in the application. And what they do is they're all these little slivers of your total identity that I was talking about, right? Just little slivers. I know little slivers are funny. It's all these little pieces.
I just picture like all these people with all this little data, almost like how you look when you map out DNA.
Yeah, sure.
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it's the deoxyribo of our digital identity.
Right.
So in the application, we have all these categories that specific pieces of information are going to nest under.
Right.
Okay. So like in your house is going to hold certain items.
Right.
Each item has a story.
Right.
That's what these data categories and data packets do. You'll go into the application.
Right.
You'll choose the data category you want, and then inside that, you're going to have lists of packets, the information that people are looking to buy.
That makes sense, right?
You're going to go in and you're going to fill out the pieces of information that it's asking for as truthfully, honestly, and accurately as you can, because in doing so, it'll return the highest value for you. And then once you're doing that, you save and publish your info, and now at that point, it is ready to be purchased on the exchange.
And TARTLE handles that part.
We handle that part.
Because, as a consumer, I'm thinking, I would just like to browse on the internet, and I'd like to sell my data. Yeah, that's cool in certain areas.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I don't want it to be extremely complicated.
No, we don't
the exchange part, I don't, whether that, that's why I like the Robinhood app, for instance.
Correct.
It's very simple to purchase stocks.
Correct.
So how simple is it?
Let me show you how easy it is. You put your information in, you save it, right? Like saving a document on a computer. And then past that point, you wait for a notification to come up and it says, hey.
And it takes me 5 minutes to save?
Even less. Maybe even less. It depends on the data packet you're looking at.
Okay, now that sounds simple.
Right? Yeah. It'll only take you a brief moment to do this.
Right.
And then once you've saved it and it's available, a bid comes in, and then at that point, you just make a decision. Do I want to give up this information to this other party for this value and price for whatever period of time? And that's a matter of either confirming the trade by pressing a button and saying yes, or just leaving it there and letting it expire. And that's it. And that's as simple as the control gets, which means you at that point now choose when to relinquish the info.
So it's easy and I'm fully in control.
It's easy and you're fully in control. And that's what needs to be important. And I think we should reinforce that point, is that you put the information in there, you'll be able to see, because that packet is filled out, what the market value is for it. So you know in your mind, okay, this information is valuable, but now do I want to make the choice to actually give that information up? Is that value enough for me to give up something that I was holding to myself that I created, right? And that's a decision for you to make. That's your control.
So let's say I'm from New Hampshire and I'm an insurance company.
Okay.
And I want to get data. I want to purchase data from TARTLE. And can I say I want everybody in these cities in New Hampshire?
Sure.
I want to ask them a question, or I want to purchase data so that I can turn around and then advertise to them about insurance. How does that work on, the business side of things in that way? So if I'm a company and I'm looking at,
if you're
investing into TARTLE.
Non-consumer, right? So let's look at the web application platform, the terminal we have for larger companies that are
so it's like a separate portal.
It's separate, right?
Okay,
we don't want to have both of these things combined because we don't want to confuse anybody. So now we keep it simple for the consumer. You have a web application to populate your data, control it, and sell it.
Oh, okay.
Now we have a large web terminal, and you said you like buying stocks, right? It's easy on Robinhood. Well, like E-Trade or TD Ameritrade, Think and Swim, we have the same sort of platform set up so that you go in and you can search for these assets you want to purchase, these data packets. And as you go through here, you choose the data packet you want, okay? You choose the populace of people you want to purchase it from, and you put in the price, and it's as simple as that. You click Confirm Trade.
Oh, okay.
And at that point, it sends the bid out to the market.
Right.
And then you, if you're selling that information on that exchange transaction, you'd be like, you know what, do I want to accept this? Am I willing to give up that information for what a buyer on this buyer terminal, a business, is looking to purchase?
So and this is all just simply me searching the web and getting questions given to me.
Yeah,
while I'm
essentially.
searching.
Yeah, while you're searching, right?
Right.
And so if we begin as a businesses or research facilities to ask the right questions, then we stop wasting resources and money, right? We're getting right down to the source. So instead of going around and trying to guess and figure these things out, let's look at what we're doing, assign a market value to it, give people the value for that answer that you're looking for, so you can ultimately make the correct decisions to elevate yourself as a company.
I like that. I think that fully explains market value for TARTLE.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
No problem. Right here.
Thank you for listening to TARTLEcast with your hosts Alexander McKegg and Jason Rigby, where humanity steps into the future and source data defines the path. What's your data worth?